Welcome to the Outer Realm with MicheleDerocher and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We're broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been part of our journey for probably about 5 years now. So thank you, Folgers. Couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big shout out to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for the contribution of his music, his voice, and his time for the intro you just heard. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thanks to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the banners and logos here at the show. Also specializes in the horror genre, Halloween genre, anything spooky, but does create commission pieces of all types. So tonight, guys, is of course our open mic. Anything goes. Lots of fun. We've got a lot of great topics picked out for everybody. So that'll be a lot of fun. You have to be in the chat room to partake. And that, from what I'm seeing, we're having a problem with the Outer Realm Facebook. So I don't know. I hope it comes back up. Sometimes it does. Unfortunately, I can't fix it at the moment. So I do apologize. So please make your way over to YouTube or to the iCar Facebook page. If you have to be on Facebook, we're also on Rumble and X. We can see you guys perfectly clear. You guys can come up in the chat room. We can see you like this. Hi, Kathy. So Amelia's still down with, the virus from hell. So she's not here this evening, but we have a surprise, of course. Special guest co-host with me this evening is Wayne. How's it going?
Really good.
Yeah.
I tried to do you proud.
All right. Woo! That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I just made, open mic that much more fun. So
Fun I can do.
That's all we can do, isn't it? That's about it. So we have a lot of things, picked up for tonight. And Kathy says, hello, Wayne.
Hey, Kathy.
Yeah.
So it's so much better. I don't have to type it. It's so nice.
I know. I just put them up there and you get to comment and such. And just, waiting for people to come over from Joe's show because he's totally hoarding and shouldn't even be on right now. So someone's going to get a talking to. Just kidding. It's his birthday. We have to be nice to him. So big happy birthday, Joe Montaldo. And it was Wayne's birthday yesterday. Woo! Back to back. Woohoo! So I know. Sherry says, love both you guys' stories. And hello, Wayne.
Hey, Sherry.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot going on right now, and it's so hard. It was so hard to pick a topic. Session spirit being, experience spirit being. Okay. Well, hello, Katie. I will be getting to some questions in a bit. One question. Okay, well, you know what? We'll put it up. What the heck? Okay. One question that's been percolating in my mind are orbs cross sections of spirit beings. For instance, a spirit being will be 4 or 5 dimensions above the living in the 3rd dimension. Well, I think we're looking at density as well. Like we live in a 3rd density world right now, and more and more people are trying to elevate to fifth density. So as far as dimensions go, it was always believed that the spirit realm was in the fourth dimension. And I remember this because my grandfather, I come from a really intuitive family, and my grandfather always used to say that when you see spirits, it always looks like they're floating. A lot of times it just looks like they're up higher than where they should be. And in my experience, I have seen that. And he said it's because the fourth dimension is sort of a level higher, which is what I think he meant, maybe, a dimension higher. So I thought that was interesting. When it comes to orbs tend to be a bit controversial in the paranormal. There are spirit orbs. I absolutely believe there are. Sometimes you get, beautiful orbs, beautiful faces and colors. And I remember reading about a researcher who primarily would study colored orbs, trying to figure out if it had to do with aura, if it had to do with moods. It was really interesting. If you Google colored orbs, there was some, research done on that. But as far as are they all spirit orbs? No, they're not all spirit orbs, unfortunately. There's a lot of things that can, like again, scientifically speaking, I have to play both sides of the coin. But things like pet dander, moisture, pollen, dust, things like that can also create orbs, really big, full orbs, actually. But, we had a haunted house, and there were orbs in that house when nobody was living in the house, no forced air, no bugs, because it was like in January. So the house had nobody been in the house for probably about 4 months, right? Because we were just at the other house, and there was nothing, nobody in the house to kick up dirt, dust from the carpets, anything like that. It was just been quiet. And you'd see orbs sometimes 2 at a time shooting out of the chandelier, turning around, taking off, zipping into a mirror. You'd see them floating across, from one end of the parlor, and it would come straight through past the camera and then just go all the way into the back part of the house. Like there was a degree of intelligence to them. In fact, before moving into the house, when we investigated your place, you have an orb story, don't you?
Oh yeah, orbs are interesting. Like I said, not all of them are spirits, but I did have an amazing orb story in the manor. Michelle had come in and with her team and set up cameras everywhere, which was really new for me. I'd always been on the other side of the camera, not behind it, and it was really neat because we went upstairs and there was the monitor set up on the floor. And so I sat on the top of the stairs, and a person beside me said, "Oh, you should see the orb go by. It was amazing." And I missed it. So I was just like, "Oh, okay, fair enough." And I said to the spirit person, I said, "Sorry, I'm trying to get my eyes to adjust to the darkness here. Can you just go by again a little bit slower for me?" And it did. It totally did. It turned around and it went past the camera really slow, and it was actually bigger. And you could see the shine of the orb on the hardwood floors. And when I asked them to go down to the end of the room and sit on the bed, the other camera picked it up coming into the room from the hallway, and it sat on the end of the bed. I was blown away. Actually blown away. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was interesting because sometimes you can speak to them, and just like Wayne says, he says coming back, and the thing turned around and came back. So, I think there's a lot of great experiences when it comes to orbs, but are they cross sections? Hard to believe. Like spirit energy is spirit energy. I believe there are a lot of spirits that get stuck here. There's the spirits that move on. So that's something that a lot of people spend a great deal of time still researching. So big happy birthday from Kathy. Big happy birthday from Sherry.
Thank you.
Big happy birthday from Kazan.
Thank you, folks. I appreciate that.
Hi, Mish. How are you? Hello, Heidi.
One thing I want to say, just finish up on orbs that aren't spirit too. One of the things I found very interesting, being like
yes,
a house person.
Yes.
The manor had rads and it didn't have forced air, but a lot of people do have forced air.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find interesting is that when we start to get into the Halloween season and everyone starts to get into the mood of the spooky stuff, all of a sudden there's a lot more orbs being taken pictures of and videos of, but it's right around the same time as we turn on the furnace. It's getting cooler, right? So if you don't clear out your filter and clear out the ductwork, turn on your furnace, and all of a sudden, poof, you've got orbs infiltrating your whole house, but it's just dust.
Yeah, I know. And then people end up thinking that they're being infested. I used to get pictures from people who were camping, in June when pollen is very prevalent and there are trees everywhere, and people would message me just terrified. They're just like, we can never go back here. Look at this. I'm like, no, 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 it's okay. It's okay. It is just, it's just pollen. You're fine. Hold on. Big happy birthday from Mish in Australia.
Thanks,
Big
Mish.
happy birthday from Heidi. And so
Thanks,
everybody knows
Heidi.
it's
Appreciate it.
Joe's birthday today. I don't know if we've talked about it, but
Yeah.
Orbs, are they the same all over the world? I believe so. I think if you hit a spirit orb, it's going to behave pretty much according maybe to whoever's there, maybe, the environment, the person, the individual. But again, when it comes down to just natural orbs, that's again, environment. But just always, I always tell people that if you think you got a spirit orb, try to stay in the exact same spot and recreate the exact same picture. Take 2 or 3 photos in a row. Don't move. Like I used to hold down my shutter because I didn't always use like digital cameras. I used to hold the shutter down and I would try to get a sequence to see. And many times I would catch something just moving and you would see it just like a movie. It would just play across, But again, that was before you could just take movies with your cameras. So very, very interesting. And that's my, my piece of advice. Hello, Alan. And what are your thoughts on blinking orbs, pulsating bright ones? Well, when it comes to orbs, again, if they're spirit orbs, that's just something that falls into line with what a lot of people are trying to figure out. It's great if you have a medium on hand when you're working and where you can actually validate that orb, because let's say you have something that comes up in a voice recording. You're talking to someone and then somebody says, oh my God, somebody just touched me, and you see this orb come by. Like if you can get a lot of that coinciding all in one melee, of activity, that's usually pretty good. As far as blinking, I've seen them. I have them. I don't know. Is it a pulsing energy thing? I really don't know. And ironically, orbs are often sighted around cryptids. Like, is it a quantum thing? Right? Or orbs sometimes spotted around, UAP/UFOs. So I don't know. What is it with the orb? Is it just like an energy thing?
I think it's an energy thing. I think from the universe point of view, everything's sort of round, right? Like the planets are round, we go around somewhat of a circle, sun's round. I think pure energy in its purest form would be like a soap bubble. Does it pulse? We had pulsing ones on the video in the manor. They would have faces in them. Other ones would blink, 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 blink. Other ones would be very elongated. They move around like a little water balloon.
Yeah, that's true. Just doing these wonky things.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
And that's crazy. On video. It wasn't even still camera.
I know. The camera. See, that's the thing, that there was enough energy. I don't know if that a dust orb would do the same thing, and someone would have to kick that up, so air flow, something. But it was interesting because this was a motion activated camera, it had night vision, everything. And I remember one New Year's Eve and at the other house, and all the camera was just going off like crazy. It started off almost exact time, about 4 p.m. exact. And it was constant. The thing was going off like every few seconds. I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. And I'm watching it, and I'm going, there's nothing there. There's nothing. And all of a sudden you got this orb comes shooting by, just doing crazy things. We caught one that had, a face in it, beautiful woman's face.
Beautiful face.
Oh, yeah. And we knew because we had seen pictures of this. This is one of the past residents of the house. So there was all kinds of things going on with it. And it stopped probably a couple of minutes after midnight. And
it was like somebody flicked a switch. It was that quick.
It was. And then it was dead. Nothing, pardon the pun. Nothing happened after that. It's like they had a party. But the lady of the house was known to have parties. She was a socialite, so everything's going on at 4, maybe, preparations. And then all of a sudden, literally a couple of minutes after, everything just went quiet. And we're just sort of like, I saved so many of them. I have like I just tagged all the videos, saved them. It was crazy because I couldn't believe it. Never before and never after did we get anything remotely close to that. It was just like the planets were lined up right, the environment was right, nobody was in the house, and that was it. And then it stopped, and it never happened again after that. My son, when he apologizes, that's okay, Alan. We put it out there so everybody knows now. Elementals, definitely it's an energy thing. I did ask them what I got. And what I got was they all have the ability to blink if they so choose to. Yeah, see, that's an energy thing. I think it's great. Heidi from Katie, I really believe orbs to be merely the cross sections of spirit beings, kind of like your body would only appear as a cross section in a 2D world. You know what? It's definitely worthy of a lot of research. I think that's what it comes down to when you're dealing in the paranormal or different areas of high strangeness. You research, you cross-reference. You research, you cross-reference. If you can't debunk it, for me, what it means is great. I get to research it more to try to actually continuously work and thrive towards validating it. I've just spent, because it's one of those fields where you're kind of like, you can't say unequivocally that it's this. But this is what I love about it, is just sharing up ideas as to what it could be, right? Like people even look at quantum stuff. That's something that's been around forever, but is being looked at a lot more now. People want real answers, and they spend a lot of time doing it. Who am I missing?
Remember that place that I worked at, down in Toronto, and I had that paranormal experience with a buddy who didn't believe.
Yes.
Okay, so just going back to dimensional for a minute, because that woman that I saw that came around the corner of that bank of equipment in that old building, I couldn't see below her, like the length of her skirt. I couldn't see her legs at all. I could see everything else.
Yeah.
But it was exactly like that. Was like one level up. Her legs from the knee down were not there.
Yeah. See? It's right there. Right there. So we don't know. We don't know. But it is definitely an interesting topic. And it's one that comes up a lot. And I think when you live in a haunted house, I've been in haunted houses forever. And if it wasn't haunted when I moved into it, sure became haunted. So I'd say maybe it's, except for the manor. But I mean, this one's been very quiet, thankfully. Not that it hasn't had, anybody visiting or stopping by. But I mean, my childhood home, I mean, you guys may have seen the story on Paranormal Nightmare. It's the only time I've ever told the story to that degree. There have been stories that have happened in my life that I've told maybe one time. So there's definitely a lot of things that you just, I have a lot of stuff that's happened to me. It's hard to just sort of remember all of it and to retell the same story. So then sometimes I have TV people would say, tell something that hasn't been told and that you could keep for us. And that's sort of what I try to do as well. Hello. So, well, okay. Now, next. I thought this was kind of funny. Well, not funny. Again, another perspective.
Like funny haha or like funny terrified?
Funny different. Funny different. So, okay. So I was on, I don't get on social media a whole lot, but I've taken to X because people are just so much more open over there. There's no censorship. And from what I understand, Donald Trump has changed that. And he's put in an order in to say no more government censorship. So we should start seeing a little bit more flexibility, maybe on places like YouTube and so on. If not, that's okay, because now we got Beyond the Outer Realm Uncensored happening on Rumble, X, and Roku on Tuesday afternoon. So those stay, but not on YouTube. Anyway, I read this by an interesting handle, Red Panda Koala. I love his stuff. He's got interesting stuff. But he says there's a movement in the UFO community that people are opening themselves up to demonic suggestion. People are doing seances and things to bring these crafts down. Congressman Burchett said that Stephen Greer's CE5 UFO protocols are opening up people to demons. I don't know. Here's my thoughts on this. I'm going to put it out there. Hi, Michelle. Hello. There's a lot of similarities between ET contact, abductions. There's a lot of similarities between that and, let's say, paranormal activity. In fact, people who are experiencers usually will experience a lot of paranormal activity. I know this because I'm one of those people among many that we've interviewed here. And some of the things that I thought were paranormal, even growing up, I've come to learn may have actually been extraterrestrial. So let's take, for one example, the smell of sulfur, which people, it is. People who have had demonic attacks or attachments have said, no, I smell sulfur when everything's around. Things like crackling sounds and tearing sounds. Well, guess what? People who have been abducted or have had contact claim they smell sulfur. They hear crackling and popping sounds. Okay. And then you get the hag syndrome where they have pressing on the chest and it feels like something's sitting on their chest. In the paranormal, they'll tell you that is either like a sleep paralysis. I could do a show, guys, just on sleep paralysis and everything that surrounds it with on all different levels. It's a whole show in itself. I've done it. Joe and I did it on the Gray Zone. I've done it on another show with another another show that I used to frequent and be regular on. And I'll tell you something. That's a thing. And there are a lot of natural reasons for it. But the paranormal people say hag syndrome. UFO people or people who abductees have said, I felt pressure on my chest, like something was holding me down, like just a pressure. So, and again, the sleep paralysis thing, where they feel somebody is in the room with them. It is crazy, the stuff that go. Yes, say right there, snap, crackle, pop, my chest making it hard to breathe, 100%. So right there, we have those similarities. Then let's talk about angels and demons. Ufologists or people who've been experiencers will say these are light beings. And on the flip side of that coin, they'll say demons are actually draconians or reptilians. So, which is it? Everything, in my opinion, for what it's worth, and I've heard many researchers say this on both sides of the coin, both fields, have said everything goes full circle. Everything, cryptids, everything is just lumped up in one big package. It's just you find the similarities and you dissect what's left. So that's pretty much that. So what some people call demons, others call ET, others call it, thank you. Redefine our terminology. Thank you. Yes, 100%. So Michelle says, no sulfur smell, but I have chronic allergies, which could be why I don't smell it. Very possibly. Heidi says, I woke up trying to move and couldn't. Very painful. Well, a lot of people don't realize when you. Yeah, you have. Yeah,
big time. Big time.
Tell your story.
Well, it's all fun and games until it's like, oh, so it's an interesting story. It's until it happens to you, and it's not interesting. It's not fun at all.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up one night at the house, and I was on my own at the time, and it was, I don't know what time it was, but I was always one of those watch the paranormal shows, and people would be like, oh yeah, I saw this dark shadow in a dark basement, and it was darker than dark, and I'm like, how can you see something in dark? Dark.
Yeah.
This is just my Wayne's logic brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I was in bed, and I had a cat living with me at the time, and he didn't have a voice. He was a stray and never couldn't meow. He'd go, that's it, no voice. And I woke up to the sound of him screaming at the end of my bed. Like, I mean, just screaming at the end of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to try to calm him down, and I couldn't move at all. So I'm like, I can't move. Logic brain kicks in. You woke up too quick to the sound of the screaming cat, so now you have sleep paralysis. Give it a second, it'll disappear. Nope, didn't disappear. So I couldn't move anything except my head. I could move my head back and forth like that. And so I looked over to where the cat was looking over me, and sure enough, in the corner, and I had like 9-10 foot ceilings in some of the rooms, and this shadow filled the entire corner of the room, top to bottom, blacker than black. And it's just like, wow, this is just crazy. At that point, I realized I couldn't breathe either. I was running out of air. I couldn't catch a breath. And it was only through sheer will and determination and a lot of swearing that I was able to actually sit up in bed. The cat took off, I took off. And when I came back in the room, I walked around the bed to see like what the heck it was, and we had really big crown moldings up on the ceilings, and something fluttered across the crown molding, and I thought it was a moth. Like, I mean, we have really big moths in the summertime. Some of them are huge, just like big as my head. And
Mm.
I looked up, and it wasn't a moth. If you can picture the size of a grapefruit, there was two of those side by side, orange with the little like slits for pupils. That was scary enough, but when they actually closed and opened at me, it was like, oh my God, you can see me.
That's
Not
tough.
fun at all. It was just a bad, like bad, capital B bad. It was a horrible experience.
Yeah, that's rough when you come to the realization that not only can you see it, but it can see you.
It's real. That becomes totally real because it's not a figment of your imagination and a bad nightmare.
Well, especially when the cat's just losing its nut, because when the
Oh yeah.
cat's going crazy, animals are like natural psychics. They see and sense everything,
Mm.
right? So when the cat is acting up, the cat's
No.
onto something. Yeah, the cat's
No.
totally onto something. I know. So
Wasn't cool.
no. I don't know. I can't remember a time in my life where the paranormal wasn't a factor. I
I can.
think I what?
I can.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't even say through childhood because, I had all that in my childhood because I came from that kind of a family, So it's just sort of, and I had an aunt that was only 10 years older than I was, and she was like, always used to think she was a cool aunt. Not so much anymore, but at the time I thought she was pretty cool. And she decides one night, okay, I'm gonna bring over my Ouija board and we're gonna play with it. I didn't know any better. I'm like, what, 13, 14, going, all right, cool. Not like there was the first time. I mean, you had a lot of friends who would play with them and stuff and never thought much about it. Didn't partake in it though, so that was a little bit different. But not that it wasn't going on in the same building, right? But I'll tell you, I found out a story after my aunt did this. And had I known the story before my aunt did this, I might have second guessed wanting to do it. My mom was there, very intuitive family. She's just like, okay, whatever. Anyway, she just fires this thing up and the board just, I don't know, started just doing something. I didn't know, started vibrating. And this face imprinted on it because it was a wood board. Major myself again. There's a wood board. It wasn't a laminate board like you get nowadays or plastic board. But anyway, that was it. That was the end of that. And when she went home that night, she claimed something was in the car with her. In my mind, going, glad it was with you and not with me at the time. But unbeknownst to me, they can be in two places at once. And that's exactly what happened. But she also said when she went home that night that she had that pressure on her chest. And it was a very difficult night for her. And what I came to find out from my grandmother after the fact was, yeah, when your aunt was much younger, she decided to play with a board. I'm going, okay, so frequent flyer being my aunt. And she asked the thing what it looked like. I always advise do not engage, just don't, because you're kind of making an invitation when you're asking, what do you look like? Who are you? You got this engaging thing going on. Anyway, it responded, one night when you're alone, I'll give you the scare of your life, is kind of how the whole thing went. I never would have even believed it if it wasn't for the fact that my grandmother and my mother as well told me the story. So one night they hear my aunt scream. My grandparents both go down the hall. She was the youngest, right? So the whole rest of the family were upstairs, and she was the youngest. She was on the main floor with my grandparents. And as they were working towards her room, and we're not talking a long hallway here, then they saw something exiting the bedroom. And all they could say was it looked like a big hunk of dying flesh, full human size, walking out, sort of stopped and looked over, and then it just disappeared. if it wasn't for the fact that my grandmother told me, and of course, everybody's freaking out. And then my grandmother and grandfather had eventually went on to tell the other siblings what had happened. And, had I known that story beforehand, I can assure you that would have been enough for me. But being, 13, 14 at the time, I kind of thought, okay, cool. Not so much. So that was my early experience with that. So that's definitely, I speak of experience, when dealing with that sort of thing. And I never allowed it in my home at all for that reason. Not
You
that other
see,
things didn't happen.
you had paranormal from a young age, right? With the wooden board, right? The
Yeah.
wooden board I had was a skateboard.
Right.
That's you know what I mean? It's like it's vastly different between me and you, my
Yes.
friend. Holy
Yes.
cow. No.
Yes. 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 I know. Again, it's sort of, it was a crazy times because back then there wasn't internet. It's not like if you're lucky, you got to see the odd horror movie or you got to see paranormal shows. It weren't until much later. I think some of the first paranormal shows I ever watched was In Search of and Scariest Places on Earth. That one was just like outstanding. Two outstanding shows. Leonard Nimoy, come on. So these were great shows, and that's as good as it got, right? So, but what I did find myself doing is watching the stars a lot. And then I found out that my grandfather also watched the stars a lot. He had a telescope. This is something that just sort of went on and on and on. So, I just feel as though, yeah, I guess it is a part of your life. But if what they say is true and the the ET does follow families generationally speaking, then it would make a lot of sense. And before my mom passed, I asked her about it. Both my parents. She goes, oh yeah. My father always made me feel like, oh, I shouldn't talk about things like that. Neighbors are going to think we're crazy. Meanwhile, when I become an adult, my dad's telling me all kinds of stuff that happened. Like, why do you make me feel silly growing up and you had all this happen to you? And he goes, I don't know. Good answer. I'll go with it.
Can I just bring something up along that topic line, just of the family and stuff? Just when you're saying when your mom was going, when it's just quick, but it's when my mom was sort of in her last days, and I've told you this story.
Oh,
And my
great
mom was
stories.
very, 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 I won't say basic, but she just no idea of the paranormal, didn't think she was gifted, the whole nine yards, just a very, down to earth individual.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't go to church, didn't read those kind of books, like nothing, right? So I walked into her sort of hospice room one night to check on her, and she saw me. I come in, I said, hi, Wayne. I said, hi, Mom. I started to walk towards her, and she said, oh, don't go that way. And I said, okay. And she says, oh, well, there's a watcher standing in the corner, and he's kind of cranky tonight, so I want you to just come around,
Watcher.
just stay away from him, and just come over this way. And my mind's like, boop, 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 boop. Like, how would she know anything to do about the watcher? Like
Yeah.
nothing. Like she would
No.
have no point of reference to
Mm-hmm.
that. But she had stories like back and forth. Like she'd interrupt conversations to have a conversation with a young girl beside her talking about a cat that wasn't hers, and then come right back to me like it never even happened. It was
What
wild.
what I found interesting about your mother was the train and the baggage.
Oh,
You
the
you
train and
know
the baggage.
how
Oh yeah, yeah,
you know how you just can't take your baggage with you,
yeah.
right? To be able to move over. Tell that story. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, my mom was constantly, my dad too, but my mom, because I had more time with my mom before my dad passed. My dad was constantly about what time is it? What time is it? Is it Tuesday? Is it 2:30? And I'm like, no, it's not that time yet. And he'd be like, okay, I haven't missed it. I haven't missed it, which was crazy. And
Mm.
when he died, it was Wednesday. So it was wild. It was just crazy. But my mom, I'd come in and she'd be like, I said, how are you? And she's, I'm really annoyed. And I'm like, why are you annoyed? And she goes, well, it's not the company's fault, really. She says, but I'll tell you something. I'll never take this train carrier again. And I'm like, why not? She goes, well, I've been sitting on the platform waiting for them to take my baggage, and they won't take my baggage. They say, like, I can't go with my baggage. I have to leave my baggage behind. And I've been sitting here forever, and it's very cold. I don't like it,
Mm.
And then she looks at me, and she's like, how did you get here? I'm like, I just came through the hallway. And she goes, no, I mean here, like we're in France. We weren't in France.
I
But she
don't know.
goes, like,
Yeah.
how did you get to France? Aren't you
Yeah.
working? I say, I'm working. Well, how did you get here? Well, I came through the tunnel. Oh, right. There's a tunnel now, isn't there? That's right. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense now.
You
Woo.
have to roll with the story.
Oh,
It's
big
like,
time. Big time. It was wild. It was really wild.
yeah. Your mom had incredible things because at one point you were there and you thought she was going to pass. Like you were
Oh,
there. Like she had the
yeah.
death rattle going. She had
Everything going.
everything, right?
I
Yeah.
almost died that night. But
Yeah.
I think the whole train thing started after that
Yeah.
because, she was really cranky. Like she was a really cranky person for a lot of years. Just didn't
Mm,
share anything, didn't like people, generally, that sort of thing, right?
mhm.
And I came in. They called me and they said, "You better come down to the hospital. Your mom's in like the last stages, and we can't get a hold of your sister." So I'm like, "Okay, on my way." Middle of the night, head up there, a 2-hour drive. Get there, walk in, and sit with her, and like she's just frail, like totally frail. Holds my hand and she says, "Do you mind if I go to sleep? I'm just so tired." I'm like, "You just go to sleep. Just relax. I'm here." And like I felt the hand just kind of go like that, and let that
Mm.
like, hmm, okay, all right. All of that about 20 seconds later. Well, let me tell you what. Dark room, like good 20 minutes of silence, death rattle, the whole 9 yards, suck a big gut full of air. I almost died. It was almost
I
me that
almost
went.
stroked out yourself.
Holy
Yeah.
mackerel. But I'll tell you something, when she recovered from that, I went to see her a few days later, completely different person. And then she was talking about the train and the baggage, and the handler wouldn't take the baggage. And she became a completely different person. She would share her treats, her meals, everything. She
Mhm.
was like night and day different, full of compliments, full of kindness. I'm just like, who are
Mhm.
you? What happened to you? You know,
Mhm.
so I think she got there and they basically said, like, what's all that? Like, you got another chance. Go back, fix all that, and then maybe you can get across. Otherwise, you're not getting
Mhm.
across. I think
I
that's
think so
exactly what
too.
happened.
Yeah, just because of some of the things that you've told me, I'm just like, it's just such a, like metaphorically speaking. I know, metaphorically speaking, like it's just you can't take it with you. You have to leave the baggage behind and just go. And the way she kept talking about being on a plane or a train platform, having to leave her bags and wouldn't leave her bags,
Yeah.
it's just like it's incredible.
Yeah. Once he's kind of made peace with that, then,
Yeah.
it took her like 8 months to make peace with that, mind you. But
Hmm.
after that, her passing was just like smooth, like totally smooth, content, silky
Hmm.
quiet, much better than the first time around.
Hmm.
Deal with your baggage, folks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'll tell you, you don't want to be stuck. You don't want to be sitting here and be stuck because you just didn't deal with it. And you don't want somebody else to make you come back, which is like this whole other theory, which I totally forgot about, but wasn't on the list to talk about, but I'm going to do it. So there is this very strong belief that how we're really conditioned to dig reincarnation. We're all so enthralled. A lot of people are enthralled with past lives, and I mean, I've done it. I've had like I've had spirit family come through and go blah blah blah, and I go out and I mean, a lot of my lineage started off with my deceased grandfather saying, "Okay, you have to go here and you have to go there and do this and do this." He'd leave things on my PVR. And I'd be asking everybody else, who put this on the PVR? What is this? No, we don't know what it is. You know, then I end up having a friend of mine who's a medium saying, and saying, yeah, your grandfather wants to know if you watched that. I'm just like, did he put that there? Yes. It's like crud. Okay. So they do speak, right? But this is lineage, a little bit different. But we're very curious about past lives and things like that, And with that being said, we become conditioned to go to the light, fear the dark, go to the light, fear the dark. Reincarnation. Wow, is like how many times? Who were you? Right. And then even like lineage thing, that's the bloodlines. And, don't kid yourself. A lot of these 23andMe and a lot of this, these genealogy places, they're looking for something. That's it. And they entice you by who were you related to? Right? It's just a lot of freaky stuff. So I started reading about some of this. I always say I'm led to certain types of research. If I'm researching something, it's amazing the things where I end up. I always say, like, I get pulled in certain directions. And what has come up a lot, and I don't believe in coincidences, I do believe in synchronicities. I do believe that maybe there's a reason we're supposed to know things. But what has come up a few times, and you may have heard me ask other guests this who have had NDEs, is the fact that we're in this perpetual cycle of when we pass, we go to the light and we drop right back down. We're put in this pool, maybe we go someplace, we purge, maybe it's purgatory, who knows what it is exactly. But it just keeps the cycle going. And the person who I was listening to, and I wish I could remember who it was because I listened to so much, was basically saying that when they were having an NDE, they were just sort of seeing like just souls just dropping down and they were just coming back here and recycling. So the theory is that if you want to go to the true spirit realm, that you have to go through the darkness and you're not supposed to fear it. Get away from the conditioning. What do you guys think about that?
I don't like reincarnation. Ever since I was a little kid, it was just like, I just don't. Before I was smart enough to figure things out.
Yeah.
And I remember being like in grade school going like, people, oh, reincarnation. No, I don't want to do that. Never want to do that. That can't be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be a thing. And as I got older, I'm like, oh my God, it is a thing. I don't want to be part of this. This is terrible.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like the idea of just this merry-go-round of souls dropping back into bodies. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to have a life. You're going to learn all this stuff. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do something really special for you. We're going to erase grade 3 for you and throw you in grade 4. And then you won't remember anything from grade 3. You won't know what grade 4 is about, right? And you have no point of reference. So you just stumble along again until you're trying to get to grade 5. It was what a nightmarish thing. I don't want to ever be part of that. And then, of course, my own experience of like being 4 years old at my birthday party and stopping in the middle of jumping around in my room with all my friends. And I looked at my hands and I was like, I'm a child. I'm a child again. And I threw up and I passed out and I woke up and all of my friends were gone and my parents were in my bedroom looking at me like I'm a freak. So yeah, what happened there? But it was so intense and so emotionally overwhelming that it literally knocked me on my butt.
Well, Katie says you're the absolute favorite guest on this program.
Aw, he's so sweet. Thank you very much. Most kind.
I do feel that when something is when you're being conditioned to accept something, which happened through childhood, like through different faiths. Buddhism is all about reincarnation. And then you get, like the church, Catholics, it was just like, no, go to the light, go to the light. A lot of different faiths will say, go to the light. And then you realize that what this person with the NDE has said, when coming back had made mention, he goes, one thing I noticed about everything afterwards, because you become more attentive, I believe, to everything after the fact. After you have such a profound experience like that, you just seem to wise up to some stuff. But he goes, I just noticed that everybody looked like they were almost in a cycle. Like, you go to work every day, kids go to school, like you're conditioned from day one upward until you die, numbers for everything. Mortgage has a number, social security number, birth certificate number, death certificate number, everything's a number, like there's so much to it. And you do have people who live their best lives. I'm not saying that's the case with everybody, but I'm just saying it is something that it's pretty much the way it is. And then, you basically mention, that the spirit realm, the true spirit realm, will not be found through the light. It will be found. You will just move on, go the other way, and you will see it. Otherwise, we recycle back. So I don't know. It's curious to the point where I'm really researching a lot. I'm really curious because I want to make sure when I go, I get it right.
No.
Yeah, right?
Oh,
so,
man. No, thanks.
So can you imagine saying, go to the dark, though? No, I'll tell you.
No, you look up at the stars.
I don't fear
what do you
the
see?
dark. So, yeah.
Look up at night sky. What do you see? It's beautiful. It's
Mm-hmm.
all dark. And
Mm-hmm.
there's pinpricks of light everywhere. It's not
Mm-hmm.
scary. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where our true essence belongs.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. And I think we're conditioned to fear the dark. What's in the dark? What's in the dark? Scary things come out of the dark. But I'll tell you, like working in the field as long as I have, I've seen scary things come out of the light as well. I think that if things are going on, it doesn't matter whether it's day or night. But I think we're so conditioned to be enticed by certain things or to follow the rules. When my father was passing, my mom and I had talked about this. Like I lost my parents like 15 months apart. So I had time to work it all out in my mind, what the most favorable thing would be to say. And with my mother, she was coherent and right to the very end, she just fell asleep and that was that, and, she would ask me questions and she was very intuitive, but she always went back to this childlike state in her mind, as the further along she went. And she'd ask me things. And I said, well, just look for, like look for your loved ones, do things and this and that. And then I've come to learn that no, because the powers that be, and this is a Gnostic thing, by the way, it goes back to archons, and archons are never here, but they manage to control everything from above, and it's all about energy and everything else. They feed from that. That's why there's just apparently so much negativity in this place, because it feeds them. It's why you have wars. It's why you have hardship. It's fears and anxieties, and it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. But they know what your background is, there's otherworldly beings. They know. Okay, guides, angels, your loved ones. Yes, we'll put them all here for you. They just know. Don't think they don't know what's going on up here. They really do. So with that being said, my mother went on her way, visits a lot. No, she's moved on. It's all good. Very good. With my father, he had Alzheimer's. So he was asleep. He was unconscious at that time. They kept him due to a tremendous amount of pain. They kept him asleep. And all I could do was just speak to him because I knew he could hear me. I knew he was no longer really in the body. So I knew he could hear me and he would acknowledge what I said. So at that point, all I could do was just say, look for mom. She knows what's going on over there right now. But, ironically enough, it ended up being other people who came to him as well. So we have to, I don't think it's something that can be sprung on somebody at the last minute. I think that it's something that we have to condition ourselves to do beforehand so you don't fall into any cycles, if that is indeed the case. So do your research. This is just something I came across several times, and I don't believe that things just happen coincidentally. I believe if it keeps making its way into your path, it's warrant of investigating it, researching it a little bit more. So anyway, I thought I would share that up. Okay. So where are we going to go next? My God, there's so much going on. So of course we know that Donald Trump signed the order. Let's disclose. No holes barred with this guy all of a sudden. So he's disclosing everything. And one of these things apparently is going to be JFK. The assassination of JFK. So that apparently, from what I read a few hours ago, it was going to be released within a few hours. And if that's the case, I think you guys will start seeing headlines on that. So that's something, to check out. He's putting the wheels in motion. And with that being said, it's also believed that he was meeting with Stephen Greer. Of course, this is just something that's out there. Is it really happening? Is it not? It comes back down to Stephen Greer, who now has, by the way, started his own podcast and has brought on a lot of whistleblowers. And people are essentially just coming forward, no holes barred, and they are just talking about whatever is going on. One of those things, let me see if I can find it, because I'd be curious to see what you guys think about this. Hold on. There's so much going on, honestly. Yes. So reports indicate President Trump has executive orders prepared to unveil groundbreaking UFO and UAP information, with Dr. Stephen Greer, a prominent UFO disclosure advocate, recently met with Trump officials in Washington. That's what's out there. And that is, I like Jay Anderson. He's on X, Project Unity, to the point, well researched. Check him out if you haven't. If you happen to be on X, that's the thing. So just looking up here, God, there's so much. Where am I going to start? Okay, here it is.
Stephen Greer got out of the meeting?
Well, he met with their officials. Yeah, did he get out of the meeting?
Did he get out of the meeting with all that information?
Yeah, he met with some of Trump's people. Yes, apparently, that is a thing too. So I don't know. Did he come out of it? But he's apparently, whistleblowers are coming forward. Now I'm just going to show you guys this. You just let me know what you think. There we go. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. The egg UFO. I don't know. Is it real? Is it not real? I don't know.
That's the thing I dropped on the stove. It went underneath. That's all the fuzz.
I know. So this is it. This is it. And there's a video floating around. It's just easier for me to show you guys a picture. This is from Newsweek. Newsweek.com, for those who want to go and read the whole article. And what is strange about that, let me just close this because it'll make me crazy. There we go. We don't know. Is it real? Isn't it real? It takes you back to biblical times. I have seen paintings, really old paintings, centuries old. And you have an egg and you've got someone sitting in that egg. And these are religious paintings. So this goes back, quite a ways. But is this, again, are we looking at something that is authentic or not? Right? I don't know what the scale is per se. Let me see. A series of mysterious images and videos believed by some to depict an egg UFO flooded social media, although the alien hunting community remains skeptical over their authenticity. An anonymous user or users posted a series of videos, images, backstory on the message boards on Monday, Reddit. I mean, it's all over the place. But the viral images come days after former U.S. Air Force employee Jacob Barber left alien hunters disappointed when the release of his widely hyped, anticipated egg UFO footage turned out to be grainy and unconvincing. The video shows something coming down from above, like they were trying to retrieve this thing. So, again, putting it out there, I'm not sure if anybody saw it or if anybody's got any insight on it. But as far as, scale goes, no idea. No clue. I just have no idea. But it has scrambled messages with the egg. Yep, exactly. Trump is sending out active military at southern border. Finally close the borders. Yeah, 300 children have been lost. Yeah, that's a whole other show. One best suited for the uncensored show, for sure. And it will. There's some good things coming, guys, for the uncensored show. You're only going to find archives of that on Rumble. If you haven't joined, let me put us up right here. Go find us right there and join, because there's already quite a few videos up there. Transfer things over, but that's where all the uncensored stuff is going to be. So yeah, check that out. So what else? Got off topic. That's okay. That happens. It's easy. It's open.
Easily done.
It's open mic time. Yeah. So it's
especially
there.
With me.
Yeah. There we go. So what is next? I am trying to find. Okay, we're going to head over to Canada. So give me a second. I'm just going to get in here. Meeting with Greer. I'm just going to scrub a few things off. Earth. Okay. Before we skip over to that, I had something put aside that Wayne wanted to make mention of. Earth Prison. So, the Farsight Institute had been in communication with extraterrestrials. The far side are, remote viewers. And they have been in communication for quite some time with extraterrestrials who claim that they're trying to help us get off of this prison planet. But you had a theory on that.
I had a couple different thoughts on that.
Okay.
One of the ones I just heard recently was that ET looks at us as the vessel for the essence
Right.
being your soul or your spirit, whatever. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But like you hear a lot of people, they say, well, official people, they basically say we can't disclose what's really going on because people can't handle it. They jump off buildings and stuff. And it makes me wonder, like most of us, like me and other people, I think pretty much the entire world, it understands to some degree. There's a very small percentage that would not think that there's other beings that are out there. So we're kind of ready for that. But what if it was so far removed from that? Like, what if it like beyond your scope? Like, what if like you found out that, well, there is no ET and there is no space and there is no planet. There's nothing. This is just a stage, like a total, like a snow globe kind of
like
thing.
the Truman Show.
Well, you're just in here, and you do you go through your business, and the things that we see, like these portals and these beings and things, it's just like they open a little doorway in our snow globe, and they come in and they fix things or they check things or they grab one of our biospheres and they take us out of our little snow globe into their world, and they check on us and make sure we still have a heartbeat and so forth and everything else, reprogram us and put us back in. What if they told you that your kid isn't real, your house isn't real, your mortgage isn't real, like absolutely everything that you think is real isn't real?
I'd be okay with the mortgage part not being real.
People would be blown. Like people's minds would, I'm sure of it. Like we got our head barely around ET and reptilians and grays and the tall whites, just barely, and then you come and say, forget all that. That doesn't exist. We made all that up. I think people would go, poof.
Well, I mean, we're getting into the whole Matrix thing, which, before I forget, guys, tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, I will be guesting on the ethereal. I want to make sure that I get this right because I'm just like half out of it right now. Ethereal Encounters Unveiled, and we are going to be talking about the Matrix. The Matrix. What is it? What is it based on? What were they trying to tell us? And you guys will be able to find it. It will also stream to the Outer Realm YouTube and to X and to Rumble, Roku TV, and a whole pile of other places, for Carol Ann, our host. But it's all going to be on the Matrix. So Joe and I, if you recall, did a show on the Matrix on the Gray Zone Uncensored, and it got into some crazy stuff. So we're going to kind of dig deep on that a little bit. So check it out again tomorrow at 5 p.m. So your theory reminds me of the Matrix.
It's definitely out there. I mean, if I can just mention one other thing that sort of goes along with that, like they always say like ask and you shall receive is one of the things I always hear. And I kind of put that to the test every once in a while when I'm really desperately looking for an answer because I'm going to lose my mind because it's just so ridiculous. Sometimes I will actually get an answer, and I kind of put it out there one night and I said, I need to know what's going on. I really do. And I had this vision. It goes beyond a dream. It's way beyond a dream. But I'm in this dark place, and I couldn't tell you if I was floating, standing, sitting. I have no idea. I can't remember. Can't even isolate myself. But this person comes through the darkness, and it was female for sure. And I call her like a hybrid. She had long, straight black hair, like the Grudge, but she had that really almond-shaped face. And her eyes were almond-shaped, but they weren't black. They were just crystalline blue, like unbelievable. And she wore this kind of sparkly rust-colored dress-looking thing. And she basically said, like I'm here to answer your questions, kind of thing. And you're right, like this is a simulation. And I'm like, oh, so it's like the Matrix. She goes, no, it's not like the Matrix. It's not like that at all. It's not run by computers. We created it all for you. I'm like, oh, for me personally? And she goes, no. I mean, like your kind, your species. And I'm like, also for human beings. She's like, no, not for human beings, your kind. Because your kind have evolved to the point of not needing a physical body anymore. And you've done that over like millions of years, so you don't even need a physical form anymore. She goes, the problem with that was you became out of touch with reality. Like you don't have any sympathy for anybody in a physical body. You don't understand pain. You don't understand cold, food, hunger, none of that. You don't understand. You've lost touch. So we created this so that your essence, your being could experience the physical again to see if you could actually handle being in a physical body. But we also did it for us because we don't know that you could actually handle being in a physical realm anymore. And I said, we're not doing well, are we? She's like, no, you're not doing well at all, actually. Most of your planet is failing miserably. So, and that was the kind of highlight for me. And she told me not to be afraid. I wasn't afraid, but pretty mind-blowing that just this whole thing was created to see if a species that evolved beyond the body could actually function again in physical body again. Blech.
So why do you think, in your opinion, that we keep coming back to this physical place, this physical body? Why
In
can't
the
we
vision
seem
part, I
to?
think it's because we fail.
Yeah.
We fail, or we didn't get enough information. I mean, like I watched a blip called The Egg, and it was just this whole idea that like I am who I am, but you're also me, and my son is me, and my mother's me, and my boss is me, and they're all me, and the whole world is just a different form of me, so I can experience different things, and that's what this guy in The Egg says. He's like, you're doing really well, but I'm going to put you back. I'm going to put you back, and he goes like, why? He goes, because you haven't learned enough yet. He goes, I'm going to put you back in the 14th century as a young girl because you need to experience a few more things. And then when you got that, I'm going to bring you back and I'm going to put you into the 28th century because then you'll be able to feel that, figure out what that is. It's all about growing. He talks about time not being like just going forever. It's a ruler, which is what I always felt it was. It was a yardstick. You go from year 0 to year 30, 35, and there is no more. So they can plug your essence into 800 BC or they can plug it into 2021.
Interesting.
And they plug you into where your soul needs to learn. Okay, you did really good with finances this time. What we're going to do is we're going to plug you into the 13th century, and you're going to deal with dying, horribly by the plague, right? Just so you can really feel what suffering feels like.
Well,
You
I
can
think
get
it's a
empathy.
choice thing too for us as well, right?
Yeah.
Like we come back by choice.
Apparently
Heidi's-
not, according to you. You don't have a choice. You just get dropped back in. I'm not coming back. That's
Well,
your choice.
well, if you think
Never.
you're reincarnating, we do have, we do have that option of, apparently
Do you?
what
Do
we
you really
want
have
to
an
do.
option?
Well, see, that's what they tell you. Heidi says our frequency needs to perhaps be at a certain point. Very
Maybe.
possible.
What
You
if
know?
the light that we see, go to the light, go to the light? What if your essence goes and you're already in the birth canal going towards the light coming out of the mother
Oh,
being born again, and all the family that you hear going, that's right,
nuh-uh.
come on, you're getting closer, come on.
This is Joe's theory. Joe
Oh,
has exact
no.
same theory. Joe and I have
Horrible.
talked about this before.
Horrible.
And can you imagine what if it is?
I can't imagine. It's horrible.
I
No,
don't
thank you.
want to
You
do
don't
it
even have a
again.
choice. All of a sudden release.
Heidi says, oh my hell,
No.
Wayne, just stop it.
No, it's horrible. Heidi, it's horrible. No.
Oh, see, that's something I don't even want to think about because it's possible.
You wonder why I'm the way I am? I think about this stuff all the time. It's horrible.
Yeah, she says, stop, just stop. so
I'm with you,
okay.
sister.
So okay, here's a bit more mind bending while we're all on the topic. So of course we know now with whistleblowers, right? Bob Lazar, stuff's coming out, stuff's leaking out. There's videos coming up, interviews with him, stuff he couldn't talk about that really go back a ways. And one was a classified document he talks about. You guys have to check this out. A classified document on religion and Jesus, and how Jesus was supposedly, and again, this is something Joe's also talked about, supposedly was genetically engineered.
Yes.
Classified document. So there's, I mean, let's face it, you're going to be a hybrid for sure, because you've got a human mother and you're the son of God. if you're looking at it that way, you are definitely a hybrid, which would make a whole lot of us hybrids. With that being said, the key is, who's God? Our creator. How we don't know much about. He's our creator. So there's a lot in there, but when I see classified document, and he talks about this, but very right. So there's going to be some to believe that there's going to be again, like this catastrophic disclosure, and it's coming, and everybody's disclosing, and things are happening. This is just one of those things. So a little bit puts you a bit on edge. Yeah, go ahead.
Just for the people that are listening, and you know this already, but if you're bored one day and you got a couple hours to kill, why don't you go and Google or look up at your favorite video place, the Gospels according to Julius Caesar.
Well, that's pretty freaky.
And that will just, like, the correlations that they make between JC Julius Caesar and JC Jesus Christ are like, it's pretty similar. It's pretty out there, and it's written by a guy, a very religious man, and he's just like, I do all this, and it doesn't ruin my faith at all. I still totally believe, but he goes, my eyes are open a lot wider after doing all this research. I was blown away. I thought it was excellent.
Absolutely. I think there's just so much that has been mistranslated. There's so much that has been kept from us. There's so much that has been redone, to suit a bigger narrative that doesn't necessarily suit, what's best for all of us as well. And this is why I always say, do your research. There's a lot to learn out there. There's so much. And of course, we're never going to really know till we get there. But half the fun, in my opinion, has always been about just the thrill of the research and exploration, right? Yes.
One last thing. It's a humorous little thing on NDEs.
Oh yeah, feel free. Yeah.
Okay, just a little funny thing. Is that when you have someone who has an NDE who is Catholic, let's say, they go to the light and they see angels and they see Jesus, right? They never see Muhammad. And
but some might tell you they do.
Some I never. I don't see anybody who's of the Buddha belief, the Buddhist belief. When they die, they say, "Oh yeah, I saw Jesus Christ." They all come back and say what they were told or educated in to see. And just keep in mind that everything that we know, every last thing that we know, was taught to us by somebody else who they themselves were taught by somebody else, and you are programmed with that narrative of the person who programmed you.
Well, I agree with that.
I'm off my soapbox now. Thank you.
And see, that's what goes back to that whole recycling thing, like going by your faith and what you believe. And if that's the case, and as Bob Lazar also says, we're just sitting in these sort of like containers. Boy, oh boy, it's pretty wiggy when you think about it. Fitting whomever the narrative, yes. The powers that be have been blinding us, yes. Mish, my mom had an NDE, a light flashed across her face, a voice saying, "Who it lands on, get another chance." The voice says, "Who it lands on, get another chance." Bam, bright light, and she woke up. Jeepers. There it is. Here I am.
Well, my NDE was I was given a choice. I was sitting there, and a female voice spoke in my right ear and said, "Do you want to stay or do you want to go?" It was that simple. I didn't even have a chance to answer. I just thought about my kids and boom, back.
That's it. Yeah.
Instantaneous. All the pain, all the suffering. I was right back there.
Yeah, it was sort of like that with myself. The one time I had like 2 shots at it, and it was just like, but it wasn't so traditional for me. I was very aware of both, both times. So it was just kind of crazy. But I don't know. There's just so much, right? Alan, just want to say that our boy Wayne totally rocks. He's a gentleman, a scholar. It's an honor, privilege to hear his thoughts.
Thank you, Alan. Always a pleasure. Always nice chatting with you in chat.
As to non-canonical text, Jesus did miracles even when he was a kid. Yeah, he was like a normal kid with superpowers. Yep. Once blinded another kid because he was angry with him. Ooh, that mustn't have gone over well with the big guy upstairs.
Yeah.
but you see what I'm saying? How it could be, like how does that get instilled into you like at that early of an age? Like it's incredible. There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot that we just don't know. I had an NDE after a bad dirt bike wreck. I was watching myself from the ceiling. Everything was super bright. Have you talked about? You should talk about your NDE while we're on the topic of NDEs.
Oh, mine wasn't super bright.
No, but you know what? Like, I wonder
Oh.
if they were not bringing you to the whole follow the light because you're not supposed to. Maybe you really were heading in a different direction.
Well,
It's not like what people think, but I may be really heading into the spirit realm.
Yeah, it could be. I was really, really sick, and I went to the hospital, and the wait time is, forever. And I was sitting there waiting, and my head was splitting, and I had a high fever, and it's just terrible. And I got up and I went to the nurse's station. I said, I don't want to be a bother, but how much longer? Like, I'm dying. And she said, probably another 20 minutes. I said, okay, that's fine. And I turned around and the whole world kind of went, ooh, did the fancy side step. And that's all I remember is doing the side step. I don't remember even hitting the ground, and the next thing I know, I'm in an old sailing galleon, big sailing ship, big 2 or 3 master. And I was down in the lower section of the ship on the decks, mind you. Like, the front goes up and the back goes up, and then the middle area is lower. And I was there, and I was with 60 of my closest friends who I didn't know, and we're all wearing those black raincoats with the black hats like the fishermen wear. And I'm kind of looking around. The rain is driving, and the waves are crashing over the boat. But the boat was really still. Like, it just kind of moved steadily through the water and didn't rock or pitch, because I would have been throwing up. But it was just very steady. And it was that moment I'm just like, oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. It's like, I was totally aware of me.
It went against the conditioning.
No, I knew this was like, I am not dreaming. I am no longer at the hospital. And is this the river Styx? Am I going across it? Like, what is this thing? Right. Anyway, I looked in front of me, and there was the rocky shore and the lightning and everything. And there was this lighthouse. You can see way off in the distance was one beam of light, and it's going right over top of the ship. And I can remember looking up at it, following it over, and those ships, the steering wheel was right above the rudder, which is on the back of the ship. So, and they had those steering wheels with the big knobs on them, right? So they give you gripping power when you're steering. And when I looked back, there was a guy in a long black roby kind of thing, like the Grim Reaper looking kind of guy. But the light went right into the face, like right around, like the shroud around his head was all black, but the light went right into his face. I couldn't see his face at all. I remember at that moment, I'm just like, ooh, I think I'm dead. And it was like instantaneous. I was like, I think I'm dead. I think I really am dead. Man, this is crazy. And at that moment, that's when that woman's voice, like totally benign, like peaceful, quiet, like just far removed from what I was looking at in the dark and everything else. And she just said, "Do you want to stay or do you want to go?" And thought about my kids, and like next second, back in. First thing I heard was a woman say, "Got a pulse." No, okay.
Let me go.
There I am. Here I am.
But that just proves my point. You're in this darker place. It's a little bit of a different situation. Like, I've never heard this story, and I've heard a lot of NDE stories, a lot. And here you would expect something, you're going to hell, whatever, or like what a lot of people report, like they go down that place and they feel terrified. But here you have this beautiful, gentle voice that comes out of this situation, says, "What do you want to do?"
I have to say, it was like, even though it was all dark and it was wet and raining and everything, like everybody was calm. And I too, like, I am a nervous individual, on generalities, I'm jumpy. But not there. Like, I felt completely at peace, completely calm, like very relaxed, other than the realization of like, maybe I think I'm dead. But it was like, oh my God, I'm dead. It was just like, I'm dead. Interesting. That's literally sort of the way I was looking at it. Like, it wasn't terrifying at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's, again, I have to say, maybe it just leans a little bit towards what I was thinking, or what I had been reading, or, things of that nature. Oh, Wayne is a heart.
Thank you.
Heidi. Yeah. So
I'm still here.
Yeah. Yes, he is. And I am just, all your glory. So,
You mean
um,
shenanigans? No, not much glory. Shenanigans, yes. Glory. No, 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 not
lots of
glory.
shenanigans. I'll give you that. Lots of shenanigans. Okay. So we're going to come in, and I've got some other things I want to bring up here. Okay. So again, before we get into too far ahead, we'll stick a little bit on. Um, we we can see you, Wayne. There we go.
Yay!
um, so China discloses. So, as per the article, um, I don't think, yeah, I don't know if there's some pictures here, but here they disclose China releases moon footage of alien bases. The report stipulates that sent by pictures from a source who claims China will be releasing high-res images taken by the Chang'e 2 moon orbiter, which clearly shows buildings and structures on the moon's surface. He also claims NASA has deliberately bombed important areas of the moon in effort to destroy ancient artifacts and facilities. Pictures have yet to be released, so watch for that. But they're moving towards full disclosure of extraterrestrial reality, and the images and future ones are verified genuine. And if that's the case, NASA should have investigated for fraud or treason. China will be releasing all the data and images in the coming weeks and months. So, maybe this is the dawn of a new age, as they say. Here's to hoping, right? Here's to hoping.
Just remember, I read something that
No.
NASA
Pardon?
was the special effects for Disney. That was the special effects department for Disney before it became NASA, the space program.
Yeah, that's always interesting. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Remember television?
Alan, 100%. I am an RH negative, and all my children ended up being RH negative, but my former husband wasn't A positive, and we do have to get a shot. Otherwise, yes, baby absolutely can be aborted. You would miscarry. So that's definitely a thing. And I had to do it. And my children are brilliant, healthy adults. But she said when you were born, she said she floated out of her body and saw me being born. What an incredible experience that would be for mom. I would love that. That's phenomenal, Alan. Richard Hoagland used to say that all the time. Yeah. And Misha had to have an injection as well. Yeah. That's interesting. Makes you wonder, where does the blood type come from where it's instinctively you want to, purge out a foreign body to what you're accustomed to? Please don't let me stop you.
when I was researching for one of the books I wrote on vampires, I did a lot of delving into the different blood types, and man, that rabbit hole went deeper and deeper and deeper, and it was unbelievable. It got to the point where it was actually a little unnerving. It's like, the O negative blood is the universal donor, and I was asking somebody, I'm like, oh, how does this actually work? How can it be a universal donor? Well, when the blood goes in, like I'm A positive, so if they put O negative blood into me, what happens is the blood goes into my veins and it encounters A positive blood, and the O blood goes, oh, it's A positive blood. Oh, we're A positive too now. Like it changes what it is. To me, that's biological engineering. That's crazy that it can do that stuff. That's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That's not normal.
No.
I always thought that, if you were going to travel the galaxies, like, the light years that you'd have to go, and you'd have to have people traveling that far, you'd want a blood type that you could have. Like this, they'd create this blood type that if you got a person that's injured on a planet that's going to take you 25 lifetimes to get back home, he's no good. So you could just take this person and take a little bit of blood from them. You could make somebody survive because they're the universal donor, right? So it's engineered. It has to be. It wasn't even here originally, from what I understand. It was the
I think
positive blood type.
Yeah, I think roughly, about 30,000 years ago, Joe actually talked about this and they researched it. I think he did Ancient Aliens had him come on to discuss that, and I think Linda Moulton Howe has since spoken about it. But roughly around 30,000 years ago, this comes in. You know, you had brown-eyed, brown-haired people, and all of a sudden enter a different blood type, enter red hair, blonde hair, blue eye, green eyes. You know, you get it kind of getting into something entirely different. So it makes you think, what is this, the missing link? You know, again,
That's
so
why
much
I can't
to
find
research.
it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you took my blood, A positive, and you broke it down into its molecular components,
My
you
A
would
negative
find
blood would eat you up.
I'm sorry?
My A negative blood would eat you up.
Yeah, it would for sure. Just like everything else. But my blood, if you broke it down, you could actually find within those chromosomes little bits and pieces of like Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal or Pithecanthropus. It would be in there because I'm indigenous to the planet. Whereas if they took Michelle's blood and they did the same thing to it, that would not be there. That RH factor would be missing. That's why it's RH negative. It's not there, whereas mine is RH positive. I have the prehistoric human beings within my genome.
Kathy says, wonder how many astronauts are O negative. O negative or
know.
just negative in general, I think.
Negative in
you
general.
know.
I'm negative in general. Just saying.
Weirdo.
Yeah.
I know. Oh gosh. So Sherry says, loving the first book. You guys should get Wayne's books.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah. Thank you so
Yes,
much. That's really nice of you to say.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go. 1 second.
No.
Hold on. I'm just doing something here.
What you doing, log?
I'm confused. 1 minute. Okay, this should be
Welcome
right.
to my world every day.
Yeah, WayneMallows.com. Go check it out. Bum. Coming up.
I don't see it.
There we are.
Was it black on black?
Yes, it's coming up everywhere. Hi,
hey,
Richard.
Good evening.
Okay, so now
it still hasn't come up yet, by the way.
For what?
Did you put WayneMallows.com up? I don't see it.
Oh, it's up on all of the streams. Thank you very much.
Oh, I see.
Right here,
looking on the screen. There it is.
There we go.
See?
WayneMallows.com. There you go.
I just told you I was confused. I'm always
okay. I didn't see it come up. It's on every stream.
There you go.
I
don't have my chat open because I can't do anything with it.
I know. There you go. There it is. So we'll just leave it there for a minute. So okay. So next we're going to go to all right. 1 second. I just had it. Oh God. Okay, we've got videos and everything. Could be fun. Okay, so we're just going to move past the China thing here. We're done this. Okay. So we've got pretty cool recordings, actually. Let me see if I can play this. So in Russia, there's this pit, right? So, oh, well, here's a stranger. Zach Man, how's it going? Goes, hey, Wayne and Michelle, wanted to stop by, say hi. Love the hair. Thank you. Much love to you guys. Much love to you as well.
I got a moth buzzing around in here. Sorry, it's a pain.
It's freaking snowy.
I know. Tell me about it. It's -1,000,000. I got a moth in the house.
God's sakes. All right.
There we go.
Fight for it. Okay.
I'm going for it.
In Russia, there's this pit and this giant hole, and they say that it is, some believe they call it the well to hell. And you can actually hear sounds that come out of it, which I think are just like earthly sounds personally, but we're just going to get into it. So hold on. I'm going to try to bring this up. Bear with me. I'm hoping we got the sound here. So give me a second. I'll see if it comes up. So share the screen. All right. 1 second. Okay. So I'm going to see if this will play. Sound recorded under the world speakers tab. Yeah, there's that. So Thoughts?
That's the hole they drilled, isn't it? Isn't it the one the Russians drilled, trying to see how far they could
I
actually get
believe
down?
there's two stories. One is a hole that they dug down into and they couldn't get past a certain point. And
Hmm.
then there's another story which says that the area had been hit by an asteroid or something. It was a big hit. It's a big hole, which it could have drilled down into that pit sort of thing. Right. So I don't know. What do you guys think? That sounded pretty out there.
I don't know. I mean, if it's an asteroid or a meteorite hit
Hello,
on the planet,
Allison.
that
Yeah,
would be probably why they couldn't drill through it like conventionally, because that stuff is just hard
it
nickel,
would.
iron, nasty stuff. And if it hits the planet at any speed, it's going down. It's going down miles.
Hmm. Well, they went down really far, apparently.
Well, I'm sure that's
So,
where it would be laying. It'd be this ball of stuff that was molten that went
mhm,
straight through.
yeah, yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. For some reason, it's starting to surface. There's another one I was looking for too, and I can't find it now, so we're gonna have to save it for the next one, and I will find it, and I will have it ready. This is just crazy. So that's that. So, okay, now we can get into Canada. So, Canada, the government of Canada has now brought something forward called Sky Canada Project. And you can go on the Government of Canada website, and apparently their disclaimer is it should be noted that Sky Canada Project is not intended to access and collect firsthand data like photos or testimonies, nor is it intended to make the OCSA the main point of contact for Canadians wishing to report observational personal experiences. Furthermore, it is not meant to prove or disprove the existence of extraterrestrial life or extraterrestrial visitors. But about the project, the Sky Canada project, led by the Office of the Chief Science Advisor of Canada, was initiated to review current practices surrounding public reporting of unidentified aerial phenomena in Canada. The project was spurred by increased public interest in recent developments in other countries, particularly the US, where formal procedures for addressing UAP sightings are in development. The study explores the current reporting landscape, identifies gaps, provides recommendations to enhance transparency and scientific inquiry on UAP issues in Canada. So far, that's it. And there's a preview here that you can click on. And it basically, of the upcoming Sky project. Let me see if I can bring it up. Okay, so yeah, all right. Let me see. I'll just bring up the web page. 1 second. Why don't I do that? So you guys are just sitting there wondering what the heck I'm doing. I haven't perused it. Sometimes I like to peruse things with you guys, just so we're all looking at the same thing at the same time. So here it is. Okay, so the preview, which is what we have right here. You can see all the table of comments that are in this book. You can download this format, by the way. So why don't I put? Oh my God, this thing is like angel. It's a big crazy. Hold on, I'm gonna put it up in here for those who are interested. 1 second, I'm gonna just put it in the feed, okay? It won't be on Rumble, unfortunately, guys. But I'll put this again. If you could just hold on, I'll see if I can actually put it in the description of the show so you guys can find it when everything's over. But as you can see, there's a whole lot of information here. It goes on and on and on. And introduction, executive introduction, methodology, key findings. So there's a lot of info here. And this is brand new for Canada. So check it out. And again, the YouTube channels and the Facebook pages have this in their links. So you guys can definitely check it out and see what it's all about. I know I'll be downloading that. Absolutely. So, okay. So that's Sky Canada. Next, we have a video, Bigfoot. Now, this one's going around and it's getting a lot of flack. I thought I'd put it up there because I found it. I'm going to share it. And literally just tried to scroll the page. Is it scrolling? So this thing here, give me 1 second. We're going to bring this up. 1 minute. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna stop it so we can start it over. Okay. This video is getting a lot of flack. And I don't blame people because there's a lot out there. It's AI. Um, you know, there's a lot. People are putting up stuff. A lot of people want attention. But what it does, I think, also is it takes away from potentially anything that may be real. So I'm putting it up. Let me know what you guys think. We're sharing. Caring is sharing. Here we go. So I don't know. Thoughts? I know.
I think
It
it's
looked
ball lightning.
ball lightning. Aussie.
Aussie.
I know. It's getting a lot of flack. What I found very interesting, there's only one thing that I found interesting about this. I mean, it's interesting. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in video. I'm not an expert in makeup. I'm not an expert in any of that. But I found it really interesting that the sun reflected on this brownish sort of red eye. Just the reflection was kind of like I've never seen that in a person. However, I also found now you can. I agree. I agree with Misha on this. You can get masks now that literally you could put over your face, and they're so realistic that you could have the mask of another person, and it looks completely hugs your face and molds around it, and it's freaky. It's freaky. But anyway, it's circulating. So I wanted to definitely put it up there because it's a thing. So you're probably going to see a lot more about that as we come up. Can we play uh eye contact? Yeah, very, very, very possible. Very possible. So, like I say, it's there, saw it, put it up. There we go. Definitely definitely interesting. And I don't know, why do people want to you're trying to bring there's so many people out there trying so hard to bring credibility into the certain fields. Cryptozoology could be hard, you know. I mean, paranormal is rough, but crypto could be really rough because you just don't go around seeing stuff like this all the time. And there are groups that really go out of their way to get really great sounds. I look at, Ron Moorhead, who's been on the show, a few times. It's just amazing. And if you Google the Sierra sounds, oh my God, it's just they're beautiful. There's a lot of real research taking place. So to come out with something that like this, it's kind of like why go down that road? Any ideas?
My thoughts are just personal ones. Like 20 years ago, I did a ton of work in makeup, just a ton. Like I was,
Hmm.
on doing like extra makeup for movie theater, stuff like that, everything. And back then, even with like today's standards, so much better, like holy cow, so much better. But back then I could pull something like that off just with makeup, never mind a mask. I had custom made contact lenses made for all of my characters that I would do and things like that. And I think it just comes down to like I wouldn't do something like that and try to pull it off as a fake
Mm,
or as a real. I would do it and say, look what I did. Like I can pull this off. Mind you, I would never go walking in the woods
mm,
dressed like that because I get shot. But
mm,
you can do it. And I think I did a lot of that stuff myself just to prove that I could do it, not
mm,
to pass it off as real. So
mm.
some people
Okay.
just enjoy the challenge of making it happen.
Hmm. I agree. I think that there's just no reason for it, but it's something that's been for everything. Like it doesn't matter what it is. And then it's at a point though that when you see something else, you're just kind of like, oh yippee, here we go. Here we freaking go again. You don't know. You could come across something really amazing and realize that it's just really nothing. So, okay. Lately, I've been on this thing about, ancient trees, right? If we look at something that we think might be like a mountain, this goes back to the time of giants. Okay, so we're going to talk giants right now, but not specifically. Just work with me here. So we're gonna tackle two different things right now. I'm going to put this up because there's a really big belief, and some of these photos are pretty compelling. We think they're mountains. We do. We think they're mountains. There are people out there saying these are petrified trees. If you were a giant, if there were giants that walked among men back then, things would be bigger. Would they not? Am I wrong? Wayne? No?
Well, no, I am nodding. I agree with you. I think that the planet is millions of years old, and you think of a million, try to count to a million, you'll wear yourself out. But like millions and millions and millions of years old, it doesn't. Anything's possible. Like we're not the first kick at the can. Like the dinosaurs were here before us. What was before them, and so forth and so on. So yeah, there could have been giants that walked the earth. That these mountaintops that we see could have been trees at one time. If you've ever been to the painted forest or the petrified forest, it's not really a forest that stands up, but they're all laying down. But they're actually rock. They're trees, but they're solid rock. They've been in the sediment for so long that all the pulp of the tree has been slowly infiltrated with little sediments of gravel and sand and stuff until they come one solid mass. There's no tree anymore. It's just rock. It's amazing. All the rings are there. Everything's there.
I agree with you. And we're going to show, hold on. Going to show this right now. So here we go. Here's an example of just that. And I like this comment too. Richard says, follow the mud fossil guy. He has DNA tested rock that comes back human. One was with a finger size of an arm. Yeah, see, that's creepy right there. Okay. Devil's Tower. There we go. There we go. So here we go. Here we go, guys. So when you look at these things, people have, hold on. Let me get over here. There we are. Come back. We look at this. Yep. Looks like a mountain. There are rings in here, by the way.
Yep. Yeah.
Tree rings, Then you look at something like this. Looks like tree roots. But we still have some really big trees that are alive today. Big bloody trees, right? So absolutely possible. But does some of this stuff look like, if you see a tree stump, would this not look like a tree stump?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it looks exactly like that. And if people are actually testing these things, one guy I read about did test. He went in and he removed some of the, some of the sides, some of the siding on it, and it was not rock. It was not stone. Not at all. So this is, you're getting into a little bit of alternative history here, but we also have to ask ourselves, like, why wouldn't it be? Why are we so conditioned to just not look outside of the box as something? This is supposed to be, again, world's largest petrified tree. I don't know. Chime in. Yeah, for sure.
We think we know a lot, but again, the stuff that we know is just what the person before us knew that told us.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. The theory that mountains are trees, I agree. Warrants further research. It absolutely does. And again, I'm not an expert on this, but I thought, how interesting is this? So here's another aspect of it. Okay. This is something that's really floating around right now. And I have to say, I mean, some of it's pretty compelling. Some of it could be AI, but I've seen a lot of photos over the years, not before AI. So when you're looking at some things that are not obviously not statues, but there are things out there which people kind of think, I wonder, like, could this have been an actual person? I don't know. I mean, could people will argue and say, no, they're just statues, forgotten over time. Maybe, for sure, maybe, you know,
It's
freaking King
interesting.
Kong.
Well, King Kong right there. That's for sure.
I know, right there, for sure. But I mean, I think if you look at things, you know, I mean, there's a lot that we don't look. If you think about it, when we had Deborah Thunderbeat on, and she brought in all kinds of incredible statues, like pictures of what was in the mountains. Here we're getting back into, the trees and stuff again. There's so much here. This one is one that's always fascinated me. This guy right here, because it looks like a serpent. Look at this thing.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's crazy.
isn't that nuts? Like, do you think there's something this freaking big laying around? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? That's pretty freaking, that kind of worries me a little bit to think that there's something there. But there's so many pictures floating around out there, guys, that you can definitely go and check it out for yourselves. It's truly fascinating to see, the possibilities of what really could be out there. Really could be. So, all right.
I think when they date a tree, when they ring date a tree, and they bore into the side of it, and they take it right to the core, and then they take a section out, and you can actually read the rings, and they can tell you, like, did the tree have a good growing season in 1840 and so forth. They can tell how big the ring is. It'd be interesting to actually take a boring machine to a mountain like that, and drill into the side of it for 200 feet, and then pull that core sample out and see if there's actually rings in it.
Well, one guy did take some petrified samples, and basically, it was not stone.
Interesting.
They did lean towards the fact that could have been a petrified tree.
Fantastic.
So,
I love it.
yeah, I think there's, there were definitely, Alan, there definitely were giants. I mean, there are some museums, like if you go into upstate New York, I know there's a small museum up there in one of the smaller communities, where they have what they look at giants, but giants like maybe 7-8 feet tall, still pretty big. But when you go back to like places like Sardinia in Italy, there allegedly were giants there that were like 18 to 20 feet tall. The Kandahar giant or Kandahar giant. The guy's got to look that thing up. That's recent years. Like in the last 5-7 years. That's recent. Tartaria. That's coming. I'm researching this. We're gonna have a show on it. I promise. It's fantastic. Definitely want to cover that. Environmental factors. The tree grew, too, throughout the life of it. Well, for sure. There's a lot, and there really still are some really large trees out there, that are 300-400 years old. These are way, way back. Queensland, Australia, you can't dig past a certain depth. Friend did and found a petrified tree. There you go. See, there we are. I mean, they can come up in any, hold on, any size. Even now, a tree can be petrified. Here, I just got a picture. 1 second. Let me put this up for you guys. Okay, so here's one. I mean, we have trees this big even in our lifetime right now. Here, Mish, this one's in New Zealand. An ancient tree discovered in New Zealand contains a 42,000-year-old record of a reversal of Earth's magnetic field. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's pretty crazy if you think about it. Okay, hold on. Alan, if giant reptiles existed and got small, that makes sense that giant people existed. Yes, great point.
Exactly. Good
Great
point.
point. Absolutely. Yeah. Hi, Joseph. Yeah, very, very cool. Well, guys, I have to say, it's we're there. We're there again. And I think, I always just like it when we hit. I love our open mics, and I definitely love hanging out with you guys. And I look at the time and like, oh, it's almost time to just to finish up, which is sort of a drag. But I'm looking forward to the next one. And just to get you guys prepped, okay, I'll tell you when the next one is going to be. Next open mic night for those who want to know, February 26th. That's the next one. And also giving you a heads up because we'll talk, I'll advertise it again tomorrow. But on the 28th of this month, we have Michael Cameron coming back on for Beyond the Outer Realm Uncensored Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Super Soldier, Monarch Child, boy, he's going to be whistleblowing things that he could not talk about on the regular show, and he's going to go to town. It's going to be a really intense episode. So definitely check that out. Tomorrow night, I have to say it, you guys, I got emails after we had Peter Penacor on, and he's wonderful. I think, Wayne, you saw his very first episode in the
Yeah, I
Wayback
did. I thought it was
Machine.
amazing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It is an incredible story. And the NDE, the whole part of it, everything that led up to it. Because all
Yeah.
this took place up on a mountain.
On an ice wall. Don't sell it short. An ice
ice
wall. Like,
wall.
no thanks. I just crazy. But the thing I liked about him, like he basically he went into the light, had a near death experience,
Mhm.
and he basically, no, I don't want to. I have to go back. I have a family. I have this, that, and the other. And they said, well, why would you want to do that? They have this
Yeah.
debate going on. Finally, he insisted, and then they told him like, no, well, that life is gone. Can't have that. That's finished.
I
So,
know.
but here's a
I know.
wall of other lives you can pick.
Yeah.
He went back in the same body, but with a completely different life, and his life completely turned in another direction he never thought he'd ever go on. And it was, to me, that was so unbelievably fascinating. I was just riveted.
Yeah. It
Didn't have
was
a
such an
choice.
incredible interview. It was really a fan favorite because I think the episode that I played, I think, was part 2 or 3. Like it was not the main one. And I thought, okay, it's been a while since he's been on, and we're going to bring him back, and we are going to have him retell this incredible story and catch us up on what he's been doing. You guys are not going to want to miss it. This is going to be, he's just wonderful. You guys will really love this guy. I feel like we could talk about 1,000 subjects, never get to the end of discussion. It's the coolest place to hang out. Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah, well, we do try. And guys, don't ever hesitate to just to send some things that you'd like to talk about. We can cover different things. You guys in the chat room, this is about you guys as much as it is about everybody listening, about us. And I think you guys will, really, you guys are really awesome. But send us some ideas. We'd love to hear it. Like I said, I research a lot. This is great stuff. So let's hear what you guys have to say. So
It's
anyway,
nice to share ideas, especially from the chat people, to share your ideas. It's a sharing of knowledge and ideas. It's important.
it is very important, very important. So to everybody, thank you for tuning in, of course, this evening. Whatever platform you're on, please like it up, share it up, subscribe, pass it around, comment. We love it all. We want to thank you to Folgers Coffee for sponsoring tonight's show and every night's show. Big thank you to United Public Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio, 105.3, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Big thank you to Steve McGinnis. Big thank you to Justin Snicker. We appreciate you all so very much. And we will see you guys tomorrow evening, same time. And you'll be meeting Peter Penacor. It's going to be great. Big thank you to Wayne Mallows for co-hosting with me tonight.
Happy to be here anytime.
Always a pleasure. All right, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, don't forget Ethereal tomorrow, 5 p.m. I'm going to be there.
I can't even spell that.
Matrix. I know. Good night.